everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I wanted to create a drawing to celebrate spring. I always like to draw my original characters for the changing seasons, but this time I just could not decide which character to draw. That's why I made a poll and you guys mostly voted for Annette. So let's get started on the drawing. I had a bit of trouble deciding what type of pose to make Annette in. I kept looking up different references and trying to decide what I wanted to do, but in the end I ended up deciding on this very simple pose. I think it looks graceful, and because Annette's hair is so long, it makes the whole thing look pretty and almost elegant. I don't know, it just gives a nice look even though the pose isn't particularly dynamic, and I'm happy I decided to do this rather than something more out of the box. I did have trouble tracing over her face shape. I didn't know how to make it look good, but in the end I think I got it pretty good, so I'm happy with that. You can only see one of her hands. I would have drawn the other one, but I couldn't really find a way to make it look good, and so I just decided to hide it, even though I wasn't trying to make a shortcut, okay? It just looked better not showing the second hand. If you're interested at all in Annette's story, I guess I might as well tell it to you since it's pretty short and simple. So first off, her story is sort of a fairy tale, and in it, she is a doll that cannot move, but she does have feelings and thoughts. That side of her, however, she barely ever shows because she is lonely and sad inside, and no one ever really seems to love her with all their heart. That is, of course, until Marilyn starts caring for her. Marilyn is a little girl who lives all alone in a cottage in the forest. Her grandfather used to care for her, but he passed away now, and she doesn't have anybody else besides Annette. She doesn't know that Annette's alive, but she loves her anyway, and she cares for her very, very well, even reading fairy tales to her. But at one point, there's a big snowstorm, and Marilyn realizes that she's all out of food. She doesn't know what else to do, so she decides to go into the forest to try to get something to eat because she knows that beyond the forest, there's a village where she should be able to buy something. However, she is sick, and she is not healthy enough and ends up collapsing in the snow. Luckily for her, however, she ended up bringing Annette, who, while watching her, realizes something Annette has begun to love, and it's because she loved Marilyn, the little girl who took care of her so well. She then is able to come to life, and with the power of her coming to life, she's able to melt the snow around Marilyn, and Marilyn is okay. The story has quickly become precious to me. It was my first time really writing a fairy tale like that, at least in a very long time. I probably wrote some fairy tales when I was really little, but as an older girl, and so it's just a really sweet story that always makes me happy when I read it, and Annette is one of my favorite characters ever. Marilyn is one of my OCs as well. She's the grown-up version of the little girl from the story. A fun fact is that a few years ago, I decided to remake a BJD doll into Annette. If you don't know what a BJD doll is, it's basically just a ball-jointed doll, and lots of people like to customize them or make them into their characters or just pretty dolls, and I wanted to make it into Annette because since she's literally a doll in the story, I knew it would be perfect. I was a complete beginner as I had never tried to customize a doll, and I also wasn't very experienced in things like sewing, so I decided to give her a purposeful homemade look, so I also wouldn't stress myself in making everything look perfect, so it's definitely messier than I would actually make it if I was trying my very best, but I wanted it to be also the messy look on purpose so that I wouldn't stress. And I think it definitely turned out really cute. I like the look and I think she's absolutely beautiful. It's so cool having my character in real life. Now, I should probably go back to talking about the drawing, right? So for her hair, I wanted to change it because I felt like the way I had it right now wasn't really going to make sense once I added the grass. I had a specific way that I wanted the grass to look, and I felt like the way that it was going to layer just wasn't going to look right with the way that she was previously. She was sitting on her hair. I wanted to change that. It's a bit sad that I had to change it, but I definitely think that it does look better. Now we get to start on the coloring, which was arguably the part that I was most excited for. I absolutely love Annette's colors because I just think that they're so soft and cute. They kind of give off peaceful, just the colors alone, so I was very excited to do that, and I was also excited to start on the shading because I wanted to do it kind of watercolory, and I always like the way that turns out. The main things that I was nervous about was going to be coloring the flowers as well as kind of giving the shading to her hair. She has so much hair that I was nervous to shade it, and as for the flowers, I just don't draw flowers often, so I wasn't really sure if I could make them look very good. It was fun to make her outfit look so soft and shade it with this sort of orangish colors, and I also liked adding the little stitch marks on her outfit because I was trying to imitate a little bit more like what the doll looks like that I have, and I really just like the look. I tried to add some different colors here and there with the rest of the shading, like a sort of orangish, brownish, maybe it's more of a reddish color. I'm not really sure what it is, but with the whites, I wanted it to have a little bit more color than just a regular gray or bluish color. Shading her hair did end up taking a long time because I had to do so many different layers until I thought it looked good, but in the end I am really happy with it. It just took absolutely forever. I didn't know what to do with her eyes because I wanted to make them closed. I don't usually draw closed eyes because I prefer shading open eyes because they're just so pretty and shiny and cute, but for this picture I felt like she would look so much more peaceful if I just kept her eyes closed, but I didn't really know how to shade them. Let's go on to real-time footage for a moment though, and I'll come back to that later. So here I'm just gonna fix up a few little things that I didn't like, and some lines I either left white in or I just felt were too thin or too thick. Those details are hard to see in the time-lapse, but they're much more interesting to see on a real-time footage. During the time I was making this video, Medibang Paint had an update, and it was really annoying because the way that I record my time-lapse footage, I can usually merge the different days, but it seems like that feature is gone with this update, and I'm really annoyed because usually when I download the clips of the time-lapses, I can usually merge them all and decide exactly how long my video is going to be already, but now I have to record and download them all separately, so it's really annoying with both editing and just trying to figure out how long I want the video to be. I don't know if it's easy to explain, but like, normally I can put 5 days worth of footage together in one 340-second clip, but now I'd have to save a bunch of different clips of different lengths, and that means that with editing I have to make sure that they layer correctly so you can't clearly tell where I'm putting the different clip, because then it would just look weird like the footage is jumping at a different side, and also it could be difficult because I have to also download them all, and Medibang takes a long time to download each clip. So it's just gonna be annoying and take a lot longer to make my videos. Well, maybe not a lot longer, but at least a little longer, and anyways, I'm just not happy about it. Oh, and after doing this real-time footage clip, I ended up forgetting to take the time-lapse for a little while, so sorry, but you won't see how I put down the basis of the background because I didn't film that, so oops, you're gonna skip ahead a little bit. But we aren't done with the real-time footage just yet. I'm just looking around and seeing if there's anything else that I want to fix, and I found this little area that I felt like the lines weren't quite right. Okay, but here we are back to the time-lapse footage. So I really wanted to look bright and happy, and I wanted it to have the feeling of flowers being like all around her, even though I only drew actually 2 flowers, because I just wanted it to look absolutely so springy. I don't know, spring is a really nice season. I love how full of life it is, and like it just seems so happy and alive, and I really wanted this picture to feel like that too. I'd love to hear in the comments what your favorite season is. Mine is actually summer, but I also love spring a lot as well. I was thinking of adding cherry blossom trees, but I ended up not doing that because I just felt like it didn't look right. For something random to talk about, I did talk to you guys last week about how I was going to start Onigami Melody Season 3, which is called Tsukiri, which means refreshed or refreshing in Japanese, and I wasn't sure if I'd like it. Well, so far I do really like it. I don't think it's as good as Season 2, at least not yet. I think the budget is a little bit down, but overall it's still a lot of fun. It's just as funny, and it is really cute, so I'm really happy that I'm able to watch it. The only other random thing I can think of is that last week I talked about how I had bought some books, but I wasn't really sure when they would come and that it would at least be a couple weeks. Well, they actually ended up coming last week super early, so I can show them to you now. They are on my manga bookshelf. Let's Dance a Waltz. It's a really cute series about dancing, and I've never been able to finish the series since I didn't have volume 3, but now I do, and I'm gonna be able to read them all. I love the art, and it's so cool how it's literally about dancing, and they make it interesting being a manga when they can't show movement. They do such a good job through the artwork, and I also just think it is good. I don't know how to explain it. It's a fun series, and I'm gonna be happy to own it because I feel like it's very feel-good. Also, I always like adding new things to my bookshelf. For the drawing, I wanted to add a bit of more of a textured Annette's dress, so that's why I'm adding this brush onto it, and I do think it looks nice. I don't know what type of flowers I drew her with. I kind of just drew random ones, so you can tell me in the comments if you can tell what flowers they are. I wasn't really thinking very hard about it. I did also consider changing her eyes to give her longer eyelashes, but I felt like she already looked graceful and pretty the way she was, and honestly, she didn't need that. few things that I think really pulled the piece together was the random strands of her hair going in front of her or just all around, the really thin ones that I added. I think they look super pretty. And another thing was these tiny flowers that I decided to add to her hair. Once somebody made me fan art and they added a flower crown on Annette, and I thought that it looked so pretty that I had to do it myself someday, and finally I'm doing it. Well, technically the piece of fan art was a contest entry, but still, it's a drawing of her and I just think it's so pretty, and so I had to try it for myself. Though technically this isn't a flower crown, it's just random stray flowers in her hair, I really think it is really beautiful. I had used a brush and then I traced over it with this line art, and it definitely pulled it together to make it look more my own. I also edited it to make the brush. It was originally orange, but I made the flowers white, and I definitely think that they are a lot prettier that way and fit Annette's design. I'm happy I added this because I think it makes it look extra special. There isn't a whole lot more that I'm going to do to the picture because for the most part I was really happy with it and I thought that it looked really, really pretty. I hope you guys all enjoyed seeing me draw her. Thank you for voting for her. It makes me so happy to know that you guys liked her design. I'm really excited about this drawing. I don't know why, I just think it turned out so pretty and peaceful, and it just makes me happy to look at. I only added a couple more details. It wasn't anything too fancy. I just tilted the canvas a little bit to make her a little bit closer to the viewer, and I do like that look. Just a few more brushes and a few more tiny things. And with that, here we are. Here is the finished picture of Annette. It was so fun drawing it, and I really hope that you guys all love it. If you liked this video, please like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Happy spring, and bye for now!